am Weston. I love talking about the Rangers, and I'm here to recap Game 9 of the regular season. Rangers win 3-1 over the Penguins. We finally did it. We won a third game. Shesterkin looked great. Panarin, Kreider, and Rooney all had goals. We did it. We won a third game. Can you believe it? So, before I get into the actual game recap, I want to go over two things that happened to the Rangers today and Sunday. So, first thing, Kakko did not play tonight because he was in the beer flu protocol. Weston, why are you calling it the beer flu? I'll tell you why. YouTube doesn't like it when you call it what it's called. So I will be calling it the beer flu from here on out if I ever have to address it. As so that if YouTube were to somehow find this little video and this little channel, they wouldn't say, you can't say that, banned. So, I will refer to it as the beer flu. So, Kakko went into beer flu protocol today. Now, this does not mean he has it. He might. But it means he may have just been exposed to it and they couldn't get a test back quick enough to find out if he does or not. So, they put him in the protocol. Best case scenario, tomorrow the test comes back negative and he's fine. He's back in. He can come back and play the next game. Worst case scenario, he has the beer flu and he's out for a couple of weeks. Hopefully it's just that he was exposed to it and is fine and is back by the next game. That's best case scenario and what I'm rooting for. I think that's what everyone is obviously rooting for. So, that out of the way, the other big thing is the Tony Deangelo ordeal. Because, oh my god, what happened? So after Saturday's game, right, it ended with the miscommunication between Deangelo and Georgiev behind the net, right? That possibly led to the loss. So apparently, I will say what is confirmed, apparently Deangelo either, depending on where you read or listen or look, it either happened in the hallway or in the locker room. But somewhere between those two locations, Deangelo went to Georgiev, said something sarcastic, and then Georgiev, I assume in broken English, said, "Hey guy, I know, shut up," and then started beating up on him. There was this fight between Georgiev and Deangelo, and I think that's the moment where the Rangers were like, alright, we're calling it, you're out. So Deangelo is out. He was put on waivers Sunday afternoon. I got it just in the middle of the afternoon. I was blown away. I was like, wow, really? Deangelo's gone? Crazy. So he's gone. Rangers management said he will never play a game as a Ranger again, so it's not like maybe he doesn't clear waivers, or maybe if we can't trade him. No, he's gone. So the Tony Deangelo experiment is over. Depending on who you ask, some people will say fantastic. I'm happy that he's gone. Some people will say, he was a pretty good offensive defenseman. Regardless, he's gone. That is over. If more details come out about other things like rumors, I'll talk about it, but until something is confirmed or denied, I'm not going to touch on the matter any further. I'm content with this little bit. Now on to the actual recap of the actual game that you're actually here for. First period. The first shift that Miller's starting to come out for, there's the start of a breakaway for the Penguins, and Miller just races right on over to the puck, knocks it away from him, no potential breakaway. Great play by Miller, and I'm like, it's not that I'm just looking for him to breathe, and then I want to talk about it. It's just that he's playing great hockey, man. Keandre Miller is looking fantastic at this point in the season. I know it's early, it's only 9 games, but Keandre Miller is playing fantastic. So that happens, 17 minutes and 8 seconds left in the period, and Brendan Lemieux had someone do a penalty to him. So fantastic, Rangers get a power play. We wouldn't do anything with that power play. We were 1 for 4, and the Penguins were 0 for 6 today. But fantastic, we go on a power play. I thought, maybe we can get an early score here and take an early lead. We would not. So, nothing really happens there. Funnily enough, at 11 minutes, I wrote down the following of saying, we looked great. And to that point, we really did. We were skating super hard. The defense was super physical. Shesterkin was looking good. We were taking pretty much all our shots. We weren't really passing the puck when we get into the zone. And on the power play, we shot a lot. And I'm like, there's a chance that we really can pull off one here. That'd be fantastic. Even short Hedl, short Blackwell, Kakko, and Deangelo. We might be able to pull one off, and then boom, like 5 seconds later, Penguin score. Now, I will say this. It was a brilliant play design by the Penguins, and I'll give them that. to lure the hyper-aggressive Igor Shesterkin way out of his net to the right, have the rebound go off the back wall, and then boom. Brilliant play by them. Now, I'm not defending the play by Igor Shesterkin. Obviously, he overplayed the puck and went way too far out to his right to make a save if there was a rebound off the wall. I'm not defending that. That was a bad play. But when you get a super hyper-aggressive goalie like Igor Shesterkin, you're signing up for those. Like, those are going to happen. They're going to, not too horribly often, hopefully, but they happen. I wasn't, like, angry about it. It was just a really well-drawn-up play by the Penguins, and if it wasn't drawn up at all, and this was just happenstance, good luck for the Penguins. 1-0 Pens. I'm a little upset, but I'm like, it's going to happen. He's aggressive. That stuff happens. I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. So moving right along. About 8-ish minutes left. Number 22 on the Rangers. I'm not going to try to pronounce the guy's name because I don't want to horribly butcher it and be that idiot who can't pronounce a name. So I'm just going to say 22. Takes a penalty. I believe it was tripping. It might have been slashing, something of that sort. They get on the power play. Nothing really comes of that power play except at 7:40 left in the period. Shesterkin on a flurry. 3 fantastic saves. 2 to his left and then 1 from pretty much straight on. Fantastic. He looked fantastic from that 1 goal onward and before that. He essentially had 1 mistake tonight. But Shesterkin, fantastic flurry right there. If you're David Quinn, I don't know how you say, all right, Shesterkin, I know you were 25 of 26 and only gave up 1 goal and had a few unbelievable saves. But it's back to Georgiev. You gotta let him roll. You gotta let him try to get hot. You can't go back to Georgiev, and I like him a lot, but you can't do it. Shesterkin is really on fire right now. You gotta do it. So good penalty kill. We didn't give up anything. Not much else happens. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. Brendan Smith tries to lay down a hit on a Penguin, and it goes horribly wrong. He gets injured. It was looking pretty rough. I believe he played some more, but that was rough. I thought he was going to be out for the game because he was just kind of laying there on the ice like, I want to die. And I was like, oh, this is bad. Nothing really comes of that. Later on in the period, 1:11 left. Trouba takes a penalty for slashing. Penguins go on the second power play. Nothing comes of it except at the end of the period, Kasperi Kapanen and Brett Howden get into it. And they aggressively hug for a solid 10 seconds. And I'm like, they're going to, be straightened out by the refs. Oh, no, they're not. Boom, fight breaks out. And Brett Howden easily won the fight. This was not it was close. The refs kind of no. Brett Howden definitely won the fight. And ever so often, you get to see yourself in your truest form in a peek behind the curtain. And as the aggressive hugging started, I found myself, I stood up out of my chair and I started going, fight, 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 fight. And I realized in that moment that I'm kind of insane. And I'm like, oh, I'm insane. Okay, cool. So that's it for the second period. Howden and Kapanen obviously both got fighting penalties. It continued on, right? Good penalty kill from that. Nothing really happened. And then, boom. Early in the second period, Lindgren takes a stick up in the high facial region. That was an awful way of saying it, but I'm going to leave it. So we get a power play, and we do nothing with the power play. A little bit later, 9:50 left in the game. Adam Fox with a fantastic defensive play to break up what could have been a goal pass. Like, it was going right there in front. If he didn't break it up, maybe it's 2-0 there. Who knows what happens at that point. So really good defensive play by Adam Fox to break that up. 6 minutes and 22 seconds left, Miller takes a penalty for tripping. Penguins get their third power play. I'm dying a little on the inside. I'm losing my mind. I'm like, come on, really? Another power play? You can't keep giving this team, the Penguins, with the players they have on their team, power plays, and expect them not to score. Somehow they didn't, but you can't do that, Rangers. You can't do that to us. So 4 minutes and 56 left in the period, and Chris Kreider with this great dangling. I said it before, you forget how fast Kreider is, But he goes through like 4 Penguins and gets a shot off. Doesn't score, but gets a shot off. And it was worth mentioning because it was an unbelievable attempt by Kreider to try to get something done. So 4 minutes, 15 seconds left right after he comes back from the penalty. Keandre Miller gets a breakaway. Now, I'm not saying this to crap on him because he did whiff on the shot, but it was a little bit behind him. Maybe if he doesn't have to slow down, maybe he can score, but he still whiffed on it and he had a breakaway, Nothing happens of it. Still them up 1-0. So, not much else happens for a few minutes. 2 minutes and 18 seconds left, and the Rangers get a goal. So what happens is Lindgren passes back to Panarin. Panarin tries for a one-timer, but just kind of scooches it towards the net in this weird, dribbling way. The puck's kind of bouncing around. Kevin Rooney grabs it, and he tries to shove it in. It gets rejected. He comes back around with it a second time, doesn't give up on the play, and boom, Rangers tie it 1-1. And I'm like, fantastic, we have a chance here. We can win this game, I thought to myself. And then, almost immediately after, Ryan Lindgren takes a penalty. 4th power play for the Penguins. And I'm like, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep giving this team, with Kasperi Kapanen, with CC, with Malkin, with Rust, and with Sidney Crosby power plays, and not expect them to make you pay for them. Somehow, we got lucky because we gave them 6 power plays. Can you imagine telling someone you gave Crosby 6 power plays and you somehow didn't let him score on any of them? They'd think you were lying because, my God, how did we do that? Nothing comes of it. Towards the end of the period, Jacob Trouba and Mika Zibanejad both have nice blocks. Mika Zibanejad kind of limped into the locker room, and I was like, oh no, is he injured seriously? Is he going to be out for the game? He wasn't. He came right back. And I sort of had this moment where I'm like, I think because we're fans, we kind of forget that sometimes athletes are just human. And yeah, if you take a direct shot from 3 feet away of a rock to your shin at 80 miles an hour, you're probably not just going to walk it off. You might go, ow, love of God! Because, yeah, that would hurt. They're firing a rock at you from point-blank range, and I know I certainly forget it constantly of, that would hurt unbelievably bad. I bump my shin into a coffee table and I curl up on the ground crying. I sometimes forget that, they're humans and that happens. So, 3rd period, Penguins take a slashing call at 16:11 left. Rangers get a power play. I'm like, all right, fantastic. They slashed Lemieux. Maybe we can cash in for it. We wouldn't there. We would a little bit later on, but we didn't there. And at this moment, all I could think of was our power play is too gosh darn fancy. All we do on our power play, it feels like, is we just pass it back and forth constantly. We look for shooting lanes, but we don't take them. And I understand, you might say, well, Weston, they're looking for shooting lanes. You just said it. You can't be upset about that. And I would say I can be. Because it just feels like we're the Harlem Globetrotters just tossing the ball back and forth. Making the other team move around oh, I'm going to stop it. Oh, I'm going to stop it. And then we don't shoot. We got to shoot. Ironically, our power play goal a little bit later would come when we barely took any time to pass it around. We just, boom, went for it. But I'd like to see on our power play stop moving the puck around constantly and just take our shots. If they can clear it, fine, be that as it may, but take shots. So, that happened, and I genuinely want to know, because Mika whiffed on a shot, a one-timer attempt. If anyone has a specific number or has a way to find it out, comment down below. How many times have we just whiffed on one-timer attempts? Or just any attempts, really, this season? And the first person who finds it, if anyone does, I'll pin the comment. Because I'm genuinely curious to how many times we've just lined up a shot and then, boom, and hit air. I'm curious. So 9 minutes left. Penguins put the puck over the glass. Rangers get a power play. 10 seconds into the power play. Panarin passes it to Fox. Fox takes a shot. And Kreider tips it in. It's 2-1 Rangers. And we take a lead in the 3rd period. And I'm like, oh wow, we have a lead in the 3rd period? Oh no, we have a lead in the 3rd period. We're going to lose, aren't we? I had that bad feeling. So, 8 minutes and 10 seconds left. 40 seconds after the goal, this absurd wraparound for the Penguins happened. And at first, I thought Shesterkin made the save, like with his blocker and his skate. But no, Trouba came in like a missile, put his stick out in front of him, slid in, and blocked it. And then Shesterkin ended up just like sumo flopping on top of him for a minute, which would have had to be a funny... Like, how do you deal with that if you're Shesterkin? I'm like, sorry that I'm, like, crushing you. I'll get up as soon as I can. We're on ice. But Trouba, unbelievable stop there. Could have been a goal, which would have tied in again. Who knows what happens at that point. So, the great thing there. Gauthier, a little bit later, takes a holding call on the Penguins. They get another power play. Again, why? Why are you giving them so many power plays? It's the Sidney Crosby-led Penguins. I know that they're not the same as they once were, but they're still an incredible team. You can't be giving them this many power plays. So that happened, and here we go. About 2 minutes left, like a little bit less, I think like maybe 1:57-ish. Penguins pull their goalie. It's going to be 6-on-5 skaters. And I'm like, oh, good God. I had this bad feeling of like, we have not been able to hold a lead this whole season going into the third period, or in the third period when we're up by 1 or so. We're going to give up a goal here, aren't we? We're going to have to deal with overtime, aren't we? I had that bad feeling. By a miracle, we didn't. Nothing really happened on the 6-on-5. Nothing bad came of it. Panarin went towards their goal, and he played unselfishly, which ended up not immediately getting a goal. I believe then Strome tossed it back to him, and he would get a goal with like half a second left. Empty netter. It's over. 3-1, and the Rangers win. And I was kind of in disbelief of like, did we win? And there wasn't even like heartbreak. We won. And it wasn't even like dramatic or anything. Like we just won. It was kind of unbelievable. I was ecstatic, you know. It was like for a moment, I was just like, "Oh, we can just win normal games like normal teams." Crazy, right? So, a few pertinent stats that I want to bring up: Rangers were 1 for 4 on the power play. Penguins were 0 for 6. How does that team go 0 for 6 on power plays? Blows me away. Igor Shesterkin, 25 of 26. 7 for 7 on power play shots, and his first great game of the season. I'm daring to say that maybe Shesterkin is back, which if he is, I am going to be doing cartwheels metaphorically. I love Shesterkin. I'm ecstatic. This was a fantastic game by him. He looked incredible. He was looking agile as all get out. Maybe he just needed a few games to warm back up. Hopefully that's all it was. So I believe that's 2 pretty good games by Shesterkin in a row, if I'm not mistaken, because he had the 2 goals allowed, and then that went to overtime, and this one in a row, I believe. So if you're David Quinn, like I already said, you got to roll with him into the next game. So the 3 goals were by Rooney, Kreider, and Panarin. Lindgren, Fox, and Strome, along with Panarin. He had 2 of them, had the assists, and Panarin with a 3-point night. Which, ironically, before the game, they were kind of saying how Panarin was off to a slow start, and then he got a 3-point night, which I thought was funny. Few things that I thought were insane. Jacob Trouba and Adam Fox, both with a little over 26 minutes of ice time tonight. Miller was 1 second shy of 22 minutes, and Lindgren had 21-24. Great team win. We did it. We won a 3rd game. We were playing with fire tonight. I really have no words. We looked good. We got to carry this into the next game. And please, for the love of God, David Quinn, start Shesterkin. So that's all I have to say. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And go Rangers.